It was a cold Monday morning. The office lights flickered on one by one, and the big company slowly came to life. People walked in with coffee in hand, busy on their phones, wearing suits, high heels, and confidence. But no one noticed the new man. He stood near the corner, holding a mop. His shoes were old. His shirt was plain. His face was calm, with tired eyes and a small, quiet smile. His name tag said, Raj, cleaning staff. No one greeted him. No one even asked his name. He was just the janitor. First impressions. The receptionist, Mina, looked at him with a blank face. "You're late," she said, even though it was his first day. Raj nodded and quietly walked toward the storage room to get his cleaning cart. One man in a shiny black suit, Mr. Vikram, the HR head, walked past him and frowned. "Be careful. This isn't a train station," he said, pointing to the muddy mark Raj left on the marble floor. Raj just nodded again. He didn't argue. He didn't even speak. He simply took out a small cloth and wiped the floor gently. But what nobody saw was that Raj was watching everything. The quiet observer. He moved from floor to floor, mopping the hallways, wiping tables, and emptying bins. People walked past him as if he didn't exist. Some even threw paper cups on the floor right in front of him, expecting him to clean it without a word. They laughed, gossiped, and made jokes about him. "Looks like he hasn't eaten in days," one manager whispered. "Probably doesn't even understand English," another joked. Raj kept his eyes low. But inside, his eyes were sharp, his mind was alert, and in his pocket was a small notebook. Every time he passed a department, he made a note. Not just about the dirt on the floor, but the dirt in people's hearts. The small kindness. Only one person noticed him. Mira, the receptionist, walked over around noon with a cup of tea. "You didn't eat anything, did you?" she asked kindly. Raj looked surprised. He took the cup with both hands and smiled gently. "Thank you," he said softly. Mira smiled back. "No problem. Some people forget that janitors are human too." For the first time that day, Raj felt seen. He didn't say much, but he remembered her. He always remembered kindness, more than a janitor. That evening, after everyone had left, Raj walked into the main meeting room. He didn't clean. He just looked around. He stood at the head of the big conference table, where the company's directors usually sat. He placed his notebook down, opened it, and read quietly. "Finance team, always late, blames others. HR head, rude to staff, lies during interviews. Sales manager, talks big, treats juniors badly. Receptionist, kind, respectful." Then he closed the notebook and looked out the big glass window. The city lights sparkled below. He took a deep breath, then smiled. A silent mystery. The next day, something strange happened. While cleaning the lunchroom, Raj noticed a fight between two employees. One man shouted loudly at a younger intern. Others just watched. Raj stepped closer, pretending to clean the table. But again, he took out his notebook, wrote something, and walked away. Nobody noticed, but he noticed everything. He was more than a janitor. He was watching, listening, learning, and soon he would act. The ending hook. One evening, when most of the staff had left, Raj quietly entered the CEO's private office. He pulled out a small key from his pocket. He opened the desk drawer. Inside was a folder marked "Confidential, Company Review." He placed his notebook next to it and whispered, "Almost ready." He locked the drawer again and left the room silently. No one saw him. No one knew what was coming. But something was about to change. And the man they laughed at would soon become the man they feared. The next morning, the office buzzed as usual. Phones rang. Coffee machines hissed. Laughter echoed down the hallways. But beneath the noise, behind the smiles, Something else lived here. Pretending, pressure, pride, and Raj, the quiet janitor no one cared about, saw it all. Hidden truths. He entered the marketing department first. A manager named Sonal was shouting at her team, "I want the report ready by noon. And no excuses this time." Everyone nodded quickly, scared to speak. As soon as she left, one young man, Arav, sighed loudly. "She never reads the reports anyway," he muttered. Raj, pretending to mop the corner, paused for a second. He scribbled quietly into his small notebook, then walked away, silent, unnoticed. A game of faces. In the finance section, things looked calm. But Raj saw something strange. One senior accountant named Mr. Bansal was sleeping at his desk. He had earphones in, watching a movie on his phone, hidden behind a spreadsheet. Raj swept near his chair. Suddenly, Bansal woke up and snapped, "Don't sweep here now. Come back later." Raj nodded and moved away, but not before writing one short line in his notebook. Finance. No work. Full drama. He didn't say a word. He just kept cleaning. But his eyes saw everything. The boss who smiled too much. On the 5th floor, the HR head, Mr. Vikram, stood in the hallway with 2 guests. He was laughing loudly, showing them around like he owned the place. "And here's our top floor, full of innovation and teamwork," he said. One guest whispered, "What about your cleaning staff? Are they trained?" Vikram laughed loudly. "They're just sweepers. We don't worry much about that." Raj was right behind them, emptying a dustbin. Vikram didn't even look at him. Raj lowered his eyes, but inside, his heart was burning. Another note went into his book. HR, fake smiles, full ego. Whispers in the pantry. Around lunch, the office pantry was full of employees eating, laughing, and gossiping. Raj came in with his cart. He started wiping the counter when he heard 2 voices behind him. "I heard the company's losing money," one woman said. "Yeah, but the bosses keep buying new cars," the other replied. "Do you think they'll fire people again?" "Maybe. I hope they don't touch our bonuses." Raj didn't react. But deep inside, he already knew something bigger was going on. He noted their names and left the room quietly. The only kind soul. As Raj passed the front desk, Meera, the receptionist, waved at him. "You haven't had lunch yet, right?" she asked. Raj smiled and shook his head. She handed him a small tiffin box. "It's just some rice and curry. I made extra." He looked at her with quiet respect. "Thank you," he said softly. She smiled back. "You work hard. It's the least I can do." Raj didn't forget her kindness. In his notebook, next to her name, he wrote only one word: pure. An evening surprise. At the end of the day, Mr. Vikram gathered the department heads. "We'll have an all-staff meeting this Friday," he announced. "Some company changes are coming. Stay sharp." Everyone started whispering and speculating. Raj, standing quietly near the cleaning closet, heard every word. He didn't move. He didn't speak. But in his mind, a plan was forming. A plan that had started weeks ago. A plan no one could see coming. The real Raj. That night, after everyone had left, Raj stood alone in the break room. He opened his notebook again. Pages full of observations, dates, names, and actions. He whispered to himself, "You showed me who you really are." He closed the notebook and looked at his reflection in the glass window. For a moment, his posture changed. Back straight, shoulders firm. He no longer looked like a janitor. He looked like a man in control. Then he said one final sentence to the empty room. Raj arrived early, like always. He wore the same plain uniform and carried the same cleaning cart. But today, he moved with purpose. He walked past each department one last time. Finance, marketing, HR, reception, tech support. He cleaned quietly, making no sound. But inside, he was saying goodbye. Goodbye to the lies. Goodbye to the fake smiles. Goodbye to the masks. As he reached the top floor, he paused. The CEO's office door stood in front of him. Tall, shiny, locked. Raj looked left, then right. He reached into his pocket and took out a small silver key. Entering the CEO's office, he slipped the key into the lock. Click. The door opened slowly. Raj stepped in and shut it behind him. The room was silent, filled with expensive furniture, glass shelves, and awards. Raj walked over to the large desk. He opened a drawer and pulled out a thick folder. Its label read, Company Performance plus Employee Audit. He added his own small notebook on top of it. He sat in the CEO's chair for the first time, not because he wanted power, but because he was ready to lead. Memories of the past. As he sat in that chair, his mind went back. He remembered his father, the real CEO, a kind, honest man. Years ago, before his father became sick, he told Raj something important. If you want to lead one day, don't wear a suit first. Wear their pain. Walk in their shoes. Then, and only then, you'll know who truly deserves to stand by your side. Raj had listened. He went abroad, learned business, studied leadership. Then, without telling anyone except his father, he returned, disguised as a janitor, to see the truth for himself. Hidden cameras and clues. Inside the desk, Raj opened another drawer. There were tiny USB drives. Each one held camera footage. His father had placed secret cameras in common areas years ago, not to spy, but to protect the company from corruption. Raj had watched hours of video each night after work. He saw who was honest and who pretended. He saw Meera helping others. He saw Vikram lying in meetings. He saw Sonal blaming juniors. Every detail was saved. Tomorrow, it would all come out. Preparing the list, he opened his notebook again. This time, he pulled out a separate page. A list of names. Promote. Meera. Arav. Deepak. From Tech. Fire. Vikram. Sonal. Mr. Bansal. Accountant. Watch closely. A few others. He breathed slowly. This was not revenge. It was justice. A quiet visitor. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Meera stepped in, surprised. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this room was empty. Raj looked up, calm. No problem, he said with a gentle smile. She tilted her head. What are you doing in the CEO's office? Raj stood up and walked toward her. He reached out his hand. You'll find out tomorrow, he said. But thank you for always being kind. She looked confused but smiled politely. Okay. You're welcome. As she walked away, Raj smiled to himself. The only person who treated him with respect, even when he was nobody. The clock struck 8:45 a.m. The company's main hall was buzzing. Employees walked in, whispering to one another. Why is this meeting so serious? Is the company getting sold? Maybe layoffs again. Everyone was nervous. No one had seen the CEO for weeks. And today, the janitor was missing. Confusion in the air. Sonal, the marketing head, stood near the front, arms crossed. I don't have time for this nonsense, she said. Mr. Bansal from finance leaned against a wall, yawning. Vikram from HR fixed his tie and checked his watch again and again. Where is the CEO? He mumbled. Meera sat quietly near the back, holding her notebook. Her eyes scanned the room, looking for someone. But Raj was nowhere to be seen. The lights go off. At exactly 9:00 a.m., the lights in the hall went off. Gasps filled the room. Then, a projector turned on. A video began to play on the big screen. It showed the office pantry. The camera angle was from above. In the video, 2 employees were laughing and throwing garbage on the floor. Raj bent down to clean it. One of them said, "That's all he's good for." just a cleaner. The crowd in the hall fell silent. Hidden footage. Another clip played. It showed Sonal shouting at a junior worker, making her cry. The video showed how Sonal blamed others, even when she was at fault. Another clip showed Mr. Bansal sleeping at his desk and lying in his reports. Clip after clip, the video exposed the truth behind the smiles. Everyone looked shocked, embarrassed, afraid. Then came the final clip. It was recorded secretly from inside the CEO's office. Raj sat at the CEO's desk, reading his notebook and speaking clearly into the camera. If you're watching this, then you've already seen who some of you truly are. I walked these halls. I cleaned your mess. I saw your behavior, not just toward me, but toward each other. You judged me because of my uniform, but I was never just the janitor. The screen went black. The real CEO enters. Suddenly, the back door opened. Everyone turned. Raj walked in, but this time, he wasn't wearing his cleaning uniform. He wore a simple, neat business suit. His hair was combed, his steps confident, his presence silent, but powerful. Gasps filled the room. Is that the janitor? What's happening? Who is he really? Raj walked to the front stage and picked up the mic. He paused for a few seconds, scanning the room. Then he said, "My name is Raj Malhotra. I am the son of Mr. Arvind Malhotra, the founder of this company. And as of last week, I am your new CEO." The room goes silent. Mouths dropped open. Eyes widened. Even the most senior managers didn't know what to say. Raj continued, "I spent the last few weeks as a janitor, not to trick you, but to understand you. To see who works hard and who only pretends. To learn who respects others and who looks down on them. Today, everything changes." He opened a file in his hand. Effective immediately, the following changes will take place. Shock and justice. Raj read out the names calmly. Mr. Vikram from HR, terminated for manipulation and dishonesty. Sonal from marketing, removed from leadership. Mr. Bansal, suspended pending investigation. Then he smiled. But Meera, our receptionist, promoted to employee relations manager. Meera's eyes filled with tears. The room clapped slowly, then louder. Some clapped because they agreed. Some clapped because they were scared. Some clapped because, for the first time, they saw a leader who was real. The office was never the same after that day. The hallways were quiet. The laughter was fake now. People whispered carefully. Eyes followed every step Raj took. Some called him the Watcher. But Raj wasn't looking for revenge. He was looking for change. Real, honest change. A new beginning. Raj sat in the CEO's office, wearing a plain white shirt and no tie. He didn't need to show power. He already had it. Meera knocked gently and stepped in. "You called me, sir." Raj smiled. "Just Raj. You don't need to call me sir." She smiled nervously. "Okay, Raj." He handed her a folder. "I want you to lead a new team. One that listens, one that helps. Real human resources, not fake forms and fake smiles." Meera opened the folder and saw the title, People First Program. Tears welled up in her eyes. "No one ever trusted me like this," she whispered. Raj nodded. "That's going to change. Goodbye to the old." In the HR department, Mr. Vikram was packing his things. He looked angry. "How could they replace me with a receptionist?" he grumbled. Another manager walked by and said, "You replaced kindness with ego. That's worse." Vikram left quietly. No one said goodbye. In the marketing room, Sonal was called in for a final discussion. Raj met her with calm eyes. "I saw your talent," he said, "but you forgot how to treat people." She lowered her head. "You still have a future," he said, handing her a paper. "But not here. The ones who stayed. Not everyone was punished." Arav, The junior analyst Sonal always blamed, got promoted. He couldn't believe it. Raj met him personally. You stood your ground, Raj said. That's rare. Arav smiled shyly. I thought no one saw. I saw everything, Raj replied. The tech team, who were usually ignored, were brought in for brainstorming meetings. Raj listened to their ideas like they were gold. For the first time, the quietest voices were being heard. A company reset. Posters went up across the office. Respect is the new dress code. No title is greater than truth. We rise together, or we fall apart. Raj walked around daily, not in secret anymore. But he still picked up trash if he saw it. One day, a junior asked, "Why do you still do that?" Raj smiled. Because it's never just someone's job. It's everyone's job to care. A test of character. A new employee joined the next week, fresh out of college. Nervous. He spilled coffee in the hallway and panicked. Some watched silently, others walked away. Raj passed by, bent down, and helped him clean it. The boy looked shocked. "Aren't you the CEO?" Raj nodded. "Yes, and I hate sticky floors." They both laughed. Later that day, that young employee told everyone, "This company, it's different." A call from the past. One night, Raj received a call. It was from his father, recovering slowly at home. "I saw the video," his father said. "You did it." Raj smiled. "I just followed what you taught me." There was a pause. Then his father said, "You cleaned more than floors, son. You cleaned hearts. And maybe now, this place can breathe again." Raj sat in silence, eyes wet, heart full. A quiet moment. That evening, when the office was empty, Raj walked down to the cleaning supply room. It was still dusty, still small. He placed a note on the shelf. Every great leader starts somewhere low. But those who rise with humility stand the tallest. He closed the door gently behind him. 2 weeks had passed since the big reveal. The office was quieter, but not because people were scared. It was because people were thinking more before they spoke. They were learning. And the person they were learning from was Raj. Morning without a suit. Raj walked into the office wearing his usual simple shirt. No tie. No show-off watch, just calm energy. As he passed by desks, employees nodded, some smiled, some still looked confused. He wasn't like any boss they'd ever known. He didn't bark orders. He didn't demand attention. He just listened. One-on-one meetings. Every day, Raj met 5 employees, one by one. From interns to old-timers. He didn't ask about numbers or reports. He asked simple questions. How do you feel working here? What would make this place better? Do you feel seen? Many were shocked. Some cried during their answers. No one had ever asked them that before, not even their managers. One junior girl said, "I feel invisible most days, like I don't matter." Raj looked her in the eyes and said, "You do matter. Starting today, you'll help design our new team building program." Her eyes lit up. It was her first day feeling powerful. A surprise visit. One morning, a retired office worker named Mr. Sharma walked in. He had worked there for 30 years as a file room clerk. He had left the company quietly before Raj returned. Raj spotted him instantly and walked over with open arms. "Mr. Sharma, you helped my father so much." Mr. Sharma laughed. "Your father always respected me, never made me feel small." Raj sat him down in the meeting room and asked him to share stories of the past. That week, Raj started a new initiative called Wisdom Wednesdays, where retired employees came to share life lessons. Everyone began looking forward to Wednesdays, training the managers, while the regular staff were opening up and healing. The senior managers were nervous. Some were scared. Some were bitter. Some were still pretending. Raj called a special meeting for them. He stood at the front of the room and wrote on the whiteboard, "Title Leader." He looked at each one. "You don't become a leader when you get a promotion," he said. "You become a leader when people choose to follow you." Then he added, "Fear doesn't build loyalty. Kindness does." He announced a 30-day leadership training program for everyone in a managing role. "But this is not a punishment," Raj explained. "It's a second chance." Doubt and jealousy. Not everyone liked the change. Some thought Raj was too soft. Some whispered, "He's just doing this for attention." Others said, "He's trying to be a hero." Raj heard all of it, but he didn't react. He just kept doing his work, one good decision at a time. He knew that real change is slow, and real leadership is quiet. A new company culture. Soon, small changes began to show. People said thank you more often. Juniors were allowed to speak in meetings. T-boys and security guards were invited to annual dinners. Managers were rated by how they treated people, not just how they performed. Even customers noticed the difference. The company started receiving better reviews, and the people working there, they started smiling more. A lesson for the next generation. One Friday, Raj visited a local school for a career talk. He stood in front of a room full of curious children. They asked all sorts of questions. Are you rich? Are you the boss? Were you always successful? Raj smiled and said, I started as a janitor in my own company. I wore a uniform and cleaned floors, and I learned more in those days than in business school. The kids looked confused. Why would a boss clean the floor? One boy asked. Raj replied, because if you want to build something strong, you must first understand its foundation. 3 months had passed, but it felt like 3 years. The office that once felt cold and full of fear now felt like family. Walls had fresh paint, desks had fresh energy, and hearts had fresh hope. All because one man, who started as a janitor, dared to lead with kindness. A different morning. It was 8:50 a.m. The office floor buzzed, not with fear, but with excitement. Someone held the elevator for the T-boy. Someone else helped the new intern find her seat. Laughter could be heard, not mocking laughter, but real, warm laughter. Even the security guards smiled wider these days. They knew they were finally seen. Mira's big day. Mira, who once sat quietly at the front desk, now stood at the center of the main conference room. She had just completed her first month as the new employee relations manager. Today, she was presenting her project, Voices Matter. She clicked the first slide. These are the results from our new feedback system, she said. Over 80% of staff say they now feel heard. A round of applause filled the room. Raj clapped the loudest. Mira's eyes filled with tears. She smiled through them, celebrating the quiet ones. Raj had started a new tradition. Every Friday, one person would be honored. Not for sales, not for targets, but for integrity. One week, it was the janitor who found a lost wallet and returned it. Another week, it was an intern who stayed late to help others. One Friday, it was even the office driver, recognized for always greeting everyone by name. These small moments became the soul of the company. Raj's visit to every department. Raj didn't stay locked in his CEO office. Each week, he spent one full day working from a different department. He answered calls in customer service. He helped test code with the IT team. He even joined the design team in making posters. People were shocked, but inspired. If our CEO can do this, one employee said, then we can do more too. Growth like never before. The company's performance also changed, not because of pressure, but because of passion. Employees were more creative, more dedicated, and more proud of their work. New clients noticed the culture. One international firm said, we chose you, not for your price, but for your people. Within months, new contracts were signed. Profits grew. But Raj smiled for a different reason. He wasn't proud of the money. He was proud of the hearts. A message from the founder. One afternoon, Raj's father visited the office in a wheelchair. It was his first visit since retiring. As he entered, employees stood in silent respect. Raj walked beside him. When they reached the center of the floor, Raj gave his father the mic. Mr. Arvind Malhotra, the founder, looked around slowly and said, "I built this company with bricks, but my son rebuilt it with truth." He looked at Raj and added, "You've made it better than I ever could. Not with fear, but with love." The crowd clapped. Some clapped with hands. Some clapped with tears. The office celebration. That evening, they held a small celebration. No fancy stage. No big speeches. Just food, music, and laughter. Even the cafeteria staff joined in. Raj danced with the cleaning crew. Managers served snacks to the staff. And people laughed freely, without fear of rank. One employee whispered, "This is more than a company. This feels like home." A simple sign. Before leaving that night, Raj walked to the front entrance. A new sign had been put up. It didn't say head office or CEO floor. It said, "No role too small, no voice too quiet." Raj smiled. He didn't need to say anything. His heart already knew. The company wasn't just transformed on the outside. It was healed on the inside. It had been 1 full year. 1 year since Raj entered the company dressed as a janitor. 1 year since the walls of ego were broken. And 1 year since the company found its soul again. But Raj knew something very important. True leadership doesn't end. It grows. The new chapter. Raj stood by the window in his office. The same office where his father once made tough decisions. Now, it felt lighter, like the air inside carried hope, not just pressure. On the desk lay a letter, written by Raj himself. The letter was not for the board, not for the press. It was for the employees. He titled it, "When I Was a Janitor." The farewell letter. In the letter, Raj shared everything. How he had walked in wearing worn-out shoes. How people had looked through him like he was invisible. How kindness had felt rare in a place full of polished shoes and sharp suits. And then he wrote, "You don't need a nameplate to be a leader. You don't need a suit to be strong. You just need to care, even when no one is looking." He ended the letter with one line. "Now it's your turn." The announcement. The next morning, Raj called a company-wide meeting. Everyone gathered, standing, sitting on stairs, leaning on railings. Raj stood with a calm smile. "I'm stepping down," he said softly. Gasps filled the room. "But I'm not leaving," he added. "I'm stepping aside, so someone else can rise." He turned to Mira. "She will be the new CEO." Mira's hands shook. Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm just a receptionist," she whispered. Raj looked her in the eye. "No, you're a listener, a helper, a warrior. That's what a real leader is." The room burst into applause. A quiet goodbye. Raj didn't take the elevator down on his last day. He took the stairs. Every floor, every hallway, shaking hands, sharing hugs. He stopped at the janitor's room, the same room where his journey began. He opened the door slowly, walked in, and looked around. Nothing had changed, but he had. He left one final note inside, taped to the wall. "If you're reading this, your journey matters. Be proud of where you start. And never let anyone tell you that you're small." 1 year later, a full year passed after Raj left the CEO seat, but his spirit remained. Every Friday, the People First Awards continued. The lunchroom now had a new name, the listening room. New employees were shown a short film on their first day. It was called The Man in the Corner. That video changed how people entered the company. They didn't walk in chasing power. They walked in with purpose. Across the world, news of Raj's journey spread beyond the company. It became a story taught in business schools, a lesson shared in leadership seminars, a reminder that kindness is not weakness, it is strength in its purest form. One college invited Raj to speak. He stood on stage, looking at young faces filled with dreams. He said only this: "Success is not about how far you go. It's about how many people you lift on the way." The final scene. One rainy evening, a young man entered the same company as a new intern. He was nervous, quiet, holding a worn-out backpack. A senior manager spotted him, walked over, and said, "Don't worry. Around here, we care more about heart than hairstyle." The young intern smiled. That night, as he left the building, he looked at the main wall. There was a photo frame with a simple title: Raj Malhotra, the CEO who started with a mop. And beneath it, a quote: "The greatest leaders are not the ones who speak the loudest, but the ones who listen the deepest."